Welcome everyone, Christine here with a discussion about the strongest Legendary Lord campaigns in Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires. It's worth saying that having a very strong Legendary Lord does not make for a good campaign. In point of fact, you can have some Legendary Lords, and there are Legendary Lords on this list, where it might be more interesting to watch paint dry than actually playing their campaigns, because they're so broken, so powerful, that they completely trivialize the game on any difficulty you might play the game on. And that is not an especially great situation. A good campaign, and that's the difference, a good campaign has something at stake. You look at Malachite, you look at even at Arbol, really powerful Legendary Lord, undeniably so, but he has something he can lose, as opposed to this list, where you might not have anything to lose at all with these campaigns. That's the thing. Like, that's the difference. Having a really powerful Legendary Lord is about having a campaign that starts out very powerful, that you have a lot of power from the very beginning, where it's very difficult to fuck up, regardless of how you play and what you do, you're still extremely strong. I'll give you an example of a situation which is the exact opposite. Look at Tsarina Katrin. Tsarina Katrin is a crap Legendary Lord. Her skill line is bad, her Lord effects are not great, her faction effects are not great, her supporter system, Kislev itself, pretty bad race. But if you play Katrin's campaign, or Kastaltin's campaign, or even Boris Ursus, you can trivialize the game so much for region trading, settlement trading, and Boris Ursus can confederate all of Kislev in like 20 turns. If even that, by just abusing certain things in region trading, settlement trading. Anyone who tells you, by the way, Boris Ursus has a difficult campaign, even if you're not willing to cheese that to an extreme level, I'm sorry, that is not a difficult campaign. You just recruit Kossars with your initial very powerful army, you rush Archeon, and then you rush Arbol, and that's it. GG, well played, campaign is over. There's no challenge whatsoever left after that point. There's just a grind. So no, it's not a difficult campaign when you can freaking rush Archeon, who's a really powerful Legendary Lord, and trivialize that. But Kislev is pretty bad as a race. It's just a case of starting position. So it has to be a combination. Starting position, faction strength, racial strength, etc. One Legendary Lord per race, because otherwise I just fill it with one particular race, or fill most of these slots with one particular race, and I don't want to do that. So at number 5, we have Balthazar Gelt. Now, to be certain, there are certain ways you can cheese the crap out of Balthazar Gelt to make him ridiculously more strong than he already is. But even if you don't do that, there is no one who can argue in a straight face that Gelt is not one of the strongest Legendary Lords. Let's consider his starting situation. He starts a war with a minor Kafan faction. No one is going to attack him. No one is going to threaten him. No one is going to stop him. And once you deal with this Kafan faction, you're free to do whatever the hell you want. There's a reason why I see some time lapses where Gelt controls half the freaking map by the end of Immortal Empires. Even more so than Cafe itself. And that's because, due to the way the Empire works, the hero capacity, the power of the Empire in terms of magic, in terms of units, the variety of units, the replenishment, etc., Gelt having a really safe starting position makes his campaign a lot easier and gives him a lot of power. But oh no, it's not just that. You have a campaign where you literally print money every couple of turns. Every 3 turns you get like 3,500 treasury. So you can add 1,000 extra income to Gelt's campaign, and that is pretty appropriate. It's very cheap. You can replenish movement. You can heal an army to full. You can put stock stats on any army that has a Grey Wizard. And that means even extremely powerful Legendary Lords like Vlad, you can defeat them with crap armies because you're just ambushing them. It's difficult to win an ambush situation. But here's the thing. The way Gelt's campaign works is that you're supposed to defeat the Burning Nomads, and then once you take once they're eliminated as a faction, you have a choice. Typically, once the Bamboo Crossing is taken out, one way or another, by either you or Xiaming, you have a choice: stay in Cafe, allied with Cafe, go to war with Cafe more or less, or go back to the Empire. But here's the thing, if you go back to the Empire, it gives all the territory you have, and I should have really destroyed the settlement before I went back to the Empire. I just didn't want to wait another turn for that. But here's the thing. If you go back to the Empire, all the territory in Cafe gets given to Xiaming. But what if you trade that territory to a faction that, I don't know, just has a significant amount of money inherently because they're generating it and not using it? The Defenders of the Great Plan. Well, right next to you. Yeah, you can trade all the settlements except your capital to these guys and get a truckload of money. Now, I don't have a lot of money here because I've been spending it Because another thing is, yes, the territory that you have in Cathay gets given to Xiaoming, but there is the Gnoblar country and the Dragon Isles over here. And you can keep that territory. So what I did here is like, yeah, I took some territory here. I started building a second army, and I sent Gelt on a merry little chase over here in Gnoblar country and Dragon Isles to conquer the whole damn place. That is saying quite a bit, isn't it, about a specific campaign when you have that ridiculous level of power. That alone would give you a lot of power, but oh, no. There is more. The power of these mages, the cataclysm spells that these mages do have, it is freaking ridiculous. I didn't even use Gehenna's Golden Globe. Like, beyond the fact that you have literal magical spells over here that only you have access to in a campaign that genuinely obliterate armies beyond certain other faction effects on the campaign map, that is very strong. But when you go back to the Empire, you're teleported next to Altdorf, and you get Triumphant Homecoming. Read up on this. Minus 100% upkeep, 30% campaign movement range, 50% construction time. So even though these regions might be very low level, once you get back to the Empire, you can start building it up. And by the time those 10 turns are over, regardless of how many armies you have, you will be rich beyond measure. You might have to disband half your armies, but let me just give you an idea. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 full stacks of troops, 4 with 0 upkeep over here for 10 turns. 10 turns, like, even if I were to ignore taking Gnoblar country, and I just spammed recruitment in my initial province to recruit as many units, this would still be freaking powerful. And see, unlike Karl Franz, you have no reason to not be able to go to war with other imperial factions. And there just so happens to be a little city over here that would make for a perfect capital to Gelt. And also an incredibly powerful defeat rate from Elspeth that Gelt can access. See, and even discounting all of that, even if you don't want to do all of that, he's still powerful. The reason I'm not ranking Gelt higher on this list is, one, other legendary lords are more powerful, and you have to choose to do this as Gelt. But even if you choose not to do this, you're still printing money, you still have powerful magic, you still have various effects. Even if you literally stay in Cathay, which gives you a lot less power to be sure, even if you literally stay in Cathay, it is still ridiculously strong. Oh, and final point. All your with all that money you're printing and all the money you're getting, Electrocon state troops are gained in Gelt's campaign by unlocking research, 7,500 research. It works the same with Elspeth. Gelt prints money. So all those wonderful special variants like Eldred's Guard, for instance, right? Very powerful spear infantry because they're heavily armored and they're pretty damn good line holders. In fact, probably the best Imperial line holders. Caribur Greatswords, various other units. Yeah, you have access to those. And then, yeah, you get various wizard benefits and explosive missile damage for Hailstorm rocket batteries and missile explosion radius. Farm Elspeth's right. Make it even crazier. The amount of mages, the amount of power you can get in campaign is ridiculous. And the fact that this campaign is number 5 on this list should give you an understanding of what the hell is up next. At number 4, it is Skulltaker. Yes, number 4. Look, I understand. You can cheese your way to an extreme level with Skulltaker by keeping Alberic alive, by keeping Gorak alive, by keeping Marcus Wolfhard alive, Jan Bo even, and just farming them for essence and unlocking all those essence upgrades very quickly. And that is extremely powerful. I understand that. I get that. But that is extreme cheesy. Like, you can't deny that that is extreme cheesing. If you play a campaign normally as Skulltaker and you don't go to that level, by the time you unlock that power, your campaign is over. Honestly, even if you go out of your way to unlock that power, like, this is the thing about Skulltaker. Yes, you will naturally unlock that power. Undeniably so. This was, by the way, the first campaign I really played as Skulltaker, so I wasn't quite doing that. But by the point you unlock that power, either in a natural way or even cheesing it, the campaign is going to be over. So you actually have to work for it. And from my point of view, it's not really as relevant starting powerful as it is being able, if you cheese certain mechanics in the game, by level 20 to get extremely powerful. On the flip side, it is undeniable that Skulltaker is an extremely powerful legendary lord. Because even if you do have to go out of your way and cheese it, etc., there's no other legendary lord in the history of Total War that can do what this fucking guy can do. Like, I'm taking him down a bit because you do have to work for it. You do have to specifically cheese for it to make it relevant. At least at, you know, an early enough stage of the campaign, to be sure. But if I didn't put him on this list, I'd be quite stupid, because you have a legendary lord that he can build an army that on any difficulty he can auto-resolve any other army, any other settlement in the game. You can have a lord that replenishes to full, builds, and basically once you get to a stage with Skulltaker, you could genuinely in a single freaking turn conquer the map. It might take you conquering a portion of the map, but whatever is left after that stage, you could possibly just obliterate the entire map in a single turn. Never having to fight a battle, never having to make decisions, just clicking a couple of buttons is insanely broken, is insanely powerful, is freaking ridiculous. Now, he's not number one because, again, you do have to go out of your way to cheese, you do have to work for it, and really, by the time you can do it, it's kind of pointless, because what's the point of just doing that when, you know, you won the campaign much freaking earlier than that? It should be pointed out that even if you're not deliberately going out of your way to do that, Skulltaker is still a really ridiculous legendary lord. I just think he's pretty damn broken. Also, I gotta say, this campaign is a perfect example of having a campaign that's really powerful, but not good. Lustrous sucks, Skulltaker's not that interesting of a character, or an interesting campaign. There's a reason why Goldfag and Arbol were voted much higher by people when I asked them, it's like, which is the best campaign of Omens of Destruction? Ain't fucking Skulltaker, that's for damn certain. And don't even talk to me about Gorbad. That's a joke of a campaign. Yeah. So, Skulltaker number 4 on this list, but really it should give you an idea. I'm not just so much discounting points, by the way, for Skulltaker. It's also an indication of that the fact that the top 3 lords on this list are even more ridiculous in a natural way than he is, or in a cheesy way. Take your pick. At number 3 is Orion of the Wood Elves. Now, it might take Skulltaker 20 turns to reach a ridiculous stage where you can conquer the map, if you're cheesing it to an extreme level. Maybe like something like 30, 40 turns if you're playing in a more natural way, with just a slight bit of cheese available. Longer than that. With Orion, you get to that stage in 5 turns. Because Orion, and it's ridiculous that this hasn't been changed at all, you get a minus 4% upkeep for all armies, and minus 8% for his army, but you get minus 4% upkeep cost for every active war. Now, you already have a starting position of such a nature that, oh, okay, let's declare a war over here, another war over here. These are all factions that are not going to bother me in any way, shape, or form. Another one on Tylea. Alright, that's just a couple of wars, right? Just a handful of engagements over here. I could go with 2 more, but it's not worth it really. But in 5 turns, like, the more you gain vision of the campaign map, the more ridiculous this gets. But in 5 turns with this research, you get vision on all of the areas surrounding the magical forest. Basically, that means you get vision on all the factions, and you can enter their wars, and no one will ever attack you from those distant settlements. Like, you think Morathi, for instance, is going to come all the way through Ulthuan to attack you in Athalor, and even if you were to teleport to Morathi, to the Sisters of Twilight location, chances are she might not attack you either. That's because, one, with elf settlements, they don't require any growth, so you can just start getting these settlements to higher and higher tiers instantly if you do possess the money. But on top of that, even at level 1, You might think like a couple of Glade Guard are not very strong units to defend the settlement, but here's the thing. Because of Wood Elf settlement layouts, any settlement, regardless if it's tree or minor settlement, the layout makes it a nightmare for any attacker. Most siege battles or settlement battles do actually favor the attacker in a lot of ways, having the initiative, being able to pick and choose wherever you attack. It's just that the AI is really stupid in the way it's attacking to make use of it. I mean, that's how you can trample them when they're attacking you. Well, with Wood Elves, even when you're a player, it's actually quite tricky because there's natural killing zones created, and because Wood Elves will always have range units, some range units available to themselves, that is something that does make dealing with them difficult. Kind of shitty start over here dealing with Paravan, partly because they have a tier 3 capitals. That is certainly an annoyance over there. But once you overcome that, like once you overcome those first few turns, is a complete cakewalk of a campaign. Like literally nothing in this campaign will ever really remotely come close to challenging you as a player in any real way, shape, or form. And that is not something you can say about a lot of other campaigns. It might be a slow build-up, but free armies are free armies. Free armies with teleportation because of the world routes is also really ridiculous. And the fact that you have a -10 cooldown turn for the world routes, well, let's just say, yeah, you can, like at turn 10, go to Cafe, beat up one Cafe faction, get those guys, start doing their whole ritual, start working on that, get even more ridiculous power, including the -30% upkeep for Forest Spirits, and then just start spamming Treekin. So that is just like absurdly ridiculous in this campaign. There's a lot to be said about this specific campaign and how absurdly strong it is. But the sheer potential, like free armies almost never being attacked, because the AI rarely, if ever, attacks Wood Elven settlements. Typically, it's more like horde armies or rogue armies spawning for specific Wood Elf events that will do so, because they're scripted to do so. But regular factions attacking Wood Elf settlements, that's very freaking rare in a campaign, typically on the earlier side of it. But even then, like, just recruit freaking, just recruit freaking Ancient Treemen with Glade Guard, basic Glade Guard, and just obliterate anyone that might stand in your freaking way. It is not even remotely amusing the shit you can get up to in this specific campaign. Oh, but I ran out of money. No problem, just fight the battles over here, take over the settlement, and then just, yeah, you'll have enough money to start recruiting proper Glade Guard. Absurd campaign, ridiculous campaign, completely trivializes the entire freaking game in itself. At number 2, it would be Bellor. You start with an entire demonic army, bloodletters, hell cannon, and an exalted hero of chaos, and you start a war with a minor faction of siege that doesn't really even have an army to stop you. You get one vassal on turn 1, and you can even vassalize this entire faction. So this island you start on is a natural fortress to begin with, because 1 or 2 vassals is just going to completely stop anyone that might even think of attacking you in this specific campaign. Then, because there is more, then on top of that, the fact that you have these rifts, so you can teleport around the map, get access to various other locations around the campaign map, that can grant you a lot of power. Warriors of Chaos armies, if you build them up with Chaos Warriors, Chosen, etc., armored Chaos Trolls, are so ridiculously powerful that you can genuinely auto-resolve the entire campaign with no mods on Legendary on the highest freaking difficulty of the game. On top of that, why Bellor stands out is he has all of the Gifts of Chaos slots unlocked, so you can get more growth, more post-battle loot, those kind of things available very, very quickly in this campaign. And that is a specific point that Bellor, the specific advantage that Bellor has compared to all the other Warriors of Chaos Legendary Lords, because other Warriors of Chaos may not have them, like the Champions, or if they do have them, like Archeon, like Sigvald, and Kolic, they have to unlock those slots to use them. The fact that you have every single slot and unlimited gifted unit slots, so you can make entire armies of freaking bloodthirsters if you want to as Be'lakor. In fact, you might have a bit of an easier time in some ways than actual Khorne. Makes it ridiculous. You can, and because of the various cheats that the AI has gotten on higher difficulties, it means you are actually gaining more souls in a campaign ever since they gave the AI significant buffs to try and make things more difficult. That means higher level settlements, that means more armies that they'll recruit, that means more souls for you to harvest, and just keep swapping these gifts. You don't need to unlock any other gift slot in a Be'lakor campaign. I mean, you may want to unlock another undivided gift slot, but all you want here is really available from turn 1. Growth, income post-battle loot, hell, cooldown to spells, and all the units, 35% income, because Rebellion's not going to happen. Or, oh, Endless March, let's get that 35% campaign movement reach. And yeah, the fact that you do have those rifts, which may take a while to build to get those rifts going, but once you get those rifts, like, one of the things you may want to do is just send one over here by the Sword of Cain, and when someone picks up the freaking sword, just teleport Be'lakor over there and just blow them up. Take the sword for your freaking self. Really, that is not even a joke. Like, just the sheer level of power this campaign has is ridiculous. On top of that, vassalization. Like, subjugation, really. Like, reduce a faction to its last settlement and then take over that settlement to get them as a vassal. It works with so many factions. It's ridiculous. It's incredibly powerful. And it means that your entire campaign, like, after turn 2, basically, you don't even have to play this campaign unless you want to, you know, complete all of these objectives. But you will never lose this campaign. You might get attacked in a very, very long term, but yeah, your vassals can stop a lot. Like, the entire Empire in Britannia can attack you, and it's still gonna be a difficult thing for them to take you out, beyond the fact that garrisons for Dark Fortresses are also fairly significant, and Dark Fortresses may not be the most defensive settlements in the world, but the units they have are pretty damn strong in them. So, difficult to really take down. Like, Wood Elven settlements are the only real genuine challenge, but Dark Fortresses, as far as typical settlements go, they're the most challenging sieges that you might encounter in a campaign. It's really just a shame that the AI doesn't really utilize Warriors of Chaos, because they're kind of a joke to fight against, but when you're playing them, they're ridiculously powerful. So yeah, that's Be'lakor, and for the record, if it wouldn't be Be'lakor, it would be Archeon, either Sigvald, Valkia. They're all ridiculous. Like, I could have made this entire list with, like, Warriors of Chaos, Skulltaker, and the number 1 choice. No joke. Finally, and number 1 is the Changeling. A campaign you flat out cannot lose, because the AI being able to even detect your settlements over there and being able to take you out is a pretty tall order. Might happen. Like, you could literally just quit this campaign on turn 1, disband your entire armies, everything you literally have over here, and you still may not necessarily lose this entire campaign. That is not a joke. It's just, well, we might have to replace him with another guy, but still. Yeah, you just can't disband the army when you don't own any settlement. It doesn't matter. Your armies are invisible. They're hidden from enemies. They can't be detected. They might detect cults, but that's really about it. That is all there is to this entire campaign. It is freaking ridiculous and absurd. Again, you cannot lose this campaign. All you can do is screw around in this campaign, getting tons of money, tons of armies, tons of power with those armies, because yeah, Chaos Warriors of Tzeentch and other units of Tzeentch are very, very strong, very capable of getting the job done and granting you a significant level of power. This is also a really, really boring and tedious fucking campaign. Honestly, like, it's just a waste of time to play this. There's no challenge again. Few enemies that can even defeat any one of your armies. And even if they do, again, you're not losing anything. You cannot freaking lose. Like, say what you will about all the others on this list, they can at least technically lose. They are very unlikely to do so, but the Changeling, even if you fuck around, even if you play like a complete nitwit, you will still not lose this campaign. You can still win this campaign. There's no lose state with the Changeling. There's no situation in which, oh yeah, I'm going down. No, that is never, ever going to happen in this specific campaign. It just gives you an indication of how bad Shadows of Change was as a DLC. Like, people talk about power creep with Malachi or others or Thunder Barges. No, this is the real fucking power creep. This is the real situation where you have a Legendary Lord so powerful, so ridiculous that their campaign is flat awful to actually play. It's also pretty buggy. It should be pointed out, like, a lot of these schemes can end up being buggy. But yeah, just not really a great campaign. There's a reason why SOC did as poorly as it did, really. And that is all I had to say. Costin signing out. Stay tuned for more.